Welcome to the Show with No Name, official podcast of August 23, 2013. I'm Bob Going with Gavin Murdoch and Jim Nikosha, and we're back after another 2 or 3 weeks hiatus. What do we do? 3 shows this summer? Is this the third one?
Well, it's been a busy summer.
Yeah, we've been busy on the radio though.
That's
so.
right. That's right.
Jim, you're just like Mr. Radio.
Mr. Nothing.
You're like it's like the Don McNeil Breakfast Club now. You're on every morning.
You had a special guest yesterday?
3 days.
Oh, you had a special guest yesterday? Who was that?
You had Mike on yesterday.
Oh, he's been with me.
Oh, your sidekick, Mike Chiara, who belongs on this show?
Yeah.
Keep getting the wrong day.
The other day, Babe went by and I dragged him in, Babe Plata.
Yeah.
I voted for
Did he
Babe.
say anything?
We asked him about urban renewal. That's
What did
Wow.
you say, Gavin?
I voted for Babe.
Oh, I voted for Babe too.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, okay.
That was back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah. So what was new about urban renewal? Are they renewing anything?
I think all he said was that the audit, they're going to have to do their own audit now, that the city hasn't come up with their update.
I see Ada's, some of Ada's funds have been frozen as well by the
I saw
state,
that.
which kind of surprises me because I didn't think they were part of the city audit at all.
You see in the paper, she requested everything.
Yeah, it can't possibly have anything to do with
Murals.
them throwing her out of
no.
the Conoverse building.
She says, "Oh no, that's not true. That's not true."
She's just suddenly curious after 5 years in office. Yeah,
Coinky dink.
Yeah, It
Yeah?
seems like,
5.5, whatever it is.
If you question her about something, whatever agency you're with, that she puts them on the spot.
Whoa.
She did it with the.
Oh, remember how long the previous city engineer lasted when he said he liked the suspension bridge proposal the best of the three? Yeah. That was it. He was gone the next day.
He was gone.
Huh. There's nothing to do with politics.
Yeah, no. Well, it isn't even politics. It's just
She went after Richie.
ego.
She went after Richie Legero because he mentioned something at the council meeting, and all of a sudden she's looking into the
Bocce Club. Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, immediately, right, immediately.
So what do you belong to that's going to get looked into?
You know, I don't belong to anything.
That's probably fortunate for
The
everything
human
else.
race, but
Ooh.
even that's doubtful. Yeah, see, now I got to be careful now.
You know,
Because my grandson is on the ethics board. She appointed him to the ethics board.
Oh, really?
I said, "Well, Vinny," I says, "don't expect me to keep my mouth shut."
Wow.
I won't throw you in the bag, and I says, and I won't throw her under the bus too often. I said, but
Wow.
I said, "Oh God."
Wait, maybe she meant to appoint you instead.
Wrong
Well,
Nikosha.
that could be. We get both the same name,
Yeah.
spelled the same, everything.
Yeah?
A couple blocks away from each other. Though.
Why don't you just show up for the meeting, see what happens?
Ooh.
That's right. I don't think you had
Ooh.
to sign the book, so
Wow.
You should have had to sign the book.
do you have to sign a book for ethics?
Yeah, for everything. You have to sign the book
That'd
for
be the
everything.
ethical
You have
thing to
take
do.
Take her
Well,
oath
I'm
of
going to
office.
ask if he signed the book. If he didn't sign the book.
Of course, they
I'm
don't
gonna go
understand
down.
what the purpose of the ethics
Yeah.
board is. It's
No, I know.
you know,
I went on.
she thinks it's so she can look into all her enemies' ethics.
Yeah. I was on the computer the other day on Article 18 of the General Municipal Law,
Yeah.
and there was a whole thing about the ethics board. And,
Yeah.
You know, the wearing 2 hats. You know, like Anthony wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, well, so I told my grandson, I said, "You better read that." I said, then get the city's mission statement for the ethics board. Do they have,
The mission statement. Do we have a mission statement?
Well, do they have anything? Do they have anything?
That's what the city has needed all this
As a
time.
mission.
We need a mission statement.
There you go.
Where do these people come from?
I know where these guys.
It reminds me of something I was just reading about the school district. What we need at Techler is to make the kids feel better. Somebody was saying the other day.
Yeah,
Is that your primary goal of the school board, to make people feel better about themselves?
No, the primary objective is to have the kids be successful in the classroom and to
Educate them.
to educate them.
Yeah, I'm glad to
Absolutely.
hear that.
Well, yeah, they can spend $4 million on coaches up there. That'll
Oh,
help.
it's they got a grant for 3.5
Yeah,
over 3 years.
3.5 million.
But it's not. You're not hiring coaches to coach athletics.
No.
You're hiring experts in areas in education to come in and work with the teachers, because
So they're education coaches.
they are education coaches.
Ah.
And honest, I've seen what the state has done, and they've revamped everything. The style of how you have to present, the competency that the kids must have is changed so much. It's like if they took us when we were in 5th grade and put us in the second half of 6th grade and say, here you are, go to it. The quantum leap that has been made in what these kids are required to have changed so much within 1 year that, you know, all school districts are really trying to scramble to catch up and begin to attempt to do what the state is requiring.
Instead of having coaches for the students, wouldn't it be better to have coaches for the teachers?
That's what they're there for.
Or they're going to coach the
They're
teachers?
going to be working with the teachers to change the style and the quality of what they've been teaching.
I think I asked.
Wait a minute, isn't that the principal's job?
Well, it's one of the many jobs that they currently have. Yes, it's again, that has quantitatively changed since we were in school.
All right, let's get back to that later.
wait a minute.
Wait.
All right, go
Well,
ahead.
go ahead.
I asked you the last meeting. They got this grant to pay these
Yeah.
salaries. Once they're hired, they're employees of the school district, correct?
Correct.
Therefore, when it comes time when this money runs out, how do they pay them?
That's an excellent question, and I have an excellent answer for
Good.
you.
I want to hear that.
You want to hear the answer?
Yeah.
The people who are being specifically hired for this position through the grant are being given temporary positions for their position, because at the end of that time, unless something changes, such as the grant's being renewal, those positions will not be the responsibility of the taxpayers in the city of Amsterdam.
Okay.
So they're
understand.
automatically terminated unless you do something otherwise.
I understand that.
Well, wait a minute. I just want to make
Go
sure
ahead.
that's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
From the grant money, all the auxiliary portions of their benefits are also paid. Okay, so their TSR, the ESR, all the retirement things are also paid out of the grant, so it is not coming out of the pocket of the taxpayer.
I also heard, it was on the radio the other day with Tom Perillo and Mike and
Mm-hmm.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They are working on ways to raise revenue to keep those people on. Did I
There,
read that? Did I hear that, or did I imagine that?
since I didn't listen to it, I will not say that's exactly what you heard, but I know they're perpetually seeking funds for those positions and other grants from the state or the federal government to, if that money runs out at the end of 3 years, which is what the grant is only for, then there would be some way to continue those positions
Retain
under that guise. But the district will not be responsible at the end of the 3 years to keep any of those people on, those positions on.
I asked you if you had a copy of that contract so I could read it. Because most of the time when you get grants from the federal and state government to hire somebody to do a particular job, you're required to keep them on the payroll after the grant runs out.
That is not the case, and that's the reason these are temporary positions that they're hiring them for. So there's no obligation in the future at the end of the grant, if the grant is not renewed or refunded, that those people will have to be kept on.
I'd like to see that.
Now,
I'd like to see that in writing.
now that is not to say that in 3 years Bob Going retires from McNulty and somebody who has done an excellent job at Techler would not
No,
receive that position.
No, I understand.
But those
that.
positions, think of it as positions, not people. The positions that are being funded are they are not required beyond the length of that grant. Okay, we do not have to keep any of those positions.
I'd like to see that, because normally when the state comes up with a grant, they require you to keep the people after the...
You are not for these grants, because the specific purpose of this turnaround grant, as it's called, is to get the school back on track. Once that is done, which is the goal to be able to accomplish that in 3 years, we are not required to keep any of those positions in our school district's budget.
I hope.
Okay. Before we get into more deep subjects, I think we need to do a few obituaries we haven't done in a while.
Oh.
I got a mess of them since the last time we talked. First of all, my classmate Dave Major passed away the other day. Wonderful guy. You know, I don't know anybody who didn't like Dave Major. Just a peach of a guy. I've probably seen him once in the last 40 years, and I was astonished to see that he was still in the area all this time. It's amazing how many people you don't run into in the supermarket. Yeah. When we had that reunion a few weeks ago, I was talking to one of the girls in my class. Well, where are you? I'm living right here. You know, where do you go to the supermarket? I go to Hannaford. I go to Hannaford. I've never seen, you know, all these years, I've never seen you in the supermarket, ever. You know? I mean, I realize you're only there for half an hour out of how many hours in a week, but...
coincidentally, she should be there at some point in 4 years at the same time.
Football, yeah, you know, something, you know.
Wrong day, same year.
But, yeah, that's the way it is. Anyway, rest in peace, David. Good guy. Good guy.
I didn't know David.
I don't even know anything about his family. I just, you know, a few years ago I was taking money on St. Patrick's Day down at the Irish American Club, and he came in. He says, "Hey, you know who I am? We were in school together." And I looked up. I said, "Dave Major." I hadn't changed a bit. Not a bit.
Yeah, he did. He looked the same.
Geez. Anyway.
Yeah,
now, this morning's paper announced what I had heard a couple of days ago, and that is that Father Anthony Gully passed away.
Father Gully's brother, Father Gully?
Father Gully. They call it the Father's Gully.
That's right. Right behind Scully.
All right.
Yep.
No, that was the other Gully.
Oh, that's the other Gully.
Yeah.
That was Scully's Gully.
Scully Gully.
Okay.
Anyway, what a great priest, what a great guy, wonderful sense of humor, brilliant homilist, and all around good fellow. I mean, jeepers. We had the best conversations over the years in the sacristy. He didn't hesitate to offer his opinion on modern church music and things like that. Taught for years at St. Rose.
Yep.
I don't think he retired until he was 83 when he died this week. He was probably teaching until he was 75, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Been the last
he really waited.
Handful of years.
Yeah. And he was certainly capable of going on stronger because his brother, the pastor, Father James Gully, used to brag that he was the only priest in the diocese who had a PhD for a cook. His brother used to cook for him. And once Father Jim Gully became pastor, Father Anthony was for the most part in residence at St. Mary's, so he was extra priest in our parish all those years.
Yeah.
Just great. And I think this is me, of course, but my favorite memory of Father Anthony Gully, they used to have confessions before the 4 o'clock Mass and sometimes into the 4 o'clock Mass, right? And Father Anthony would be hearing confessions while the Mass started and some other priest was doing the Mass.
Yeah.
And then, maybe 5 or 10 minutes into the Mass, he'd call off the confessions, get up, leave the confessional, come up and walk behind the main altar and back into the sacristy, quietly as possible, but you can't help but notice him. And I'm up lecturing one day, so he has to walk behind me, and I see him come out of the confessional, and he's walking more or less in my direction, and I see he's carrying my book, The Judge Report, which was what he was reading, which he was reading while he was hearing confessions. Most priests are carrying the breviary or something.
Yeah,
he
he
was carrying the Judge Report. And on top of which, he really liked the book, and I was looking forward to next time I was in Albany, I was going to drop down to Blessed Sacrament and give him a copy of this book, Where Do We Find Such Men? Because I knew he'd enjoy it, because among other things, Father Glavin and his brother are in the book. So anyway, apparently fell down the other day, and blood pressure went. He spent a couple of days in the hospital. Blood pressure went up and killed him.
Is that what
Yeah, guess he hit his head or something.
You never know when you're going to get your ticket punched.
Boy,
No, you never know. Enjoy it to the fullest.
yeah. And unfortunately, his brother is, been delving deeper into dementia and isn't recognizing it. He wasn't even recognizing Father Anthony, I guess.
Oh, that's too bad.
So he won't even really be aware, which is really sad. He's not very old himself. He's only 77, like 78.
Yeah,
That's all he is?
5, 6 younger than.
I thought he was a couple years older than that.
No, he's the same age as Father Anselm. They were in kindergarten together in Waterville.
Anselm's that old?
Yeah, he was 32 when he came to Scully. He'll be 78
Wow.
in November.
Wow. We always thought of those guys being so old when we had them.
Right, 32.
Yeah.
Well, that's old when you're 16.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
And I'll never forget the very first thing Father Anselm said to me. The first day he was maybe the first day of school when he was principal. He said, I was getting a drink of water at the water fountain, and he says to me, "Hey Charlie, where are you supposed to be?" Well, get there. Right? Yes, Father.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that suave way of talking.
Yeah. It was direct.
Yeah. He didn't need many words. He got his point across real quick.
He's a good guy, too. Dr. Cortez, we neglected to mention him. He passed away a couple of weeks ago now, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe the last of the doctors who made house calls. We were neighbors. If you were to give the geography today, it would be he lived across McDonald's from us.
Yeah.
Although at the time, Mr. Klein's house was in between. His politics were nothing like mine, to say the least. But this was a sincere, honest, decent, as decent a guy as you're ever going to want to meet. And I'll never forget when in the '60s, for years, he would give up a month of his practice every year and go to some foreign country to provide medical help to the poor. He had 7 kids he was supporting, I think. I'd have to stop and count them in my head, but something like that.
Yeah.
And all of a young age at the time. I think Maria was the oldest, and she was in high school, and he's off to Guatemala or Africa or some, the Caribbean, I guess. And he'd spend a full month just using his God-given talents to help people.
And no publicity about it.
No,
just
he would come back and he'd like talk to the teachers association or something, or
like Tom Katina.
I think they call it SMI Social Club or something at the time. But
yeah.
It wasn't a PTA.
Oh no, that was a public school thing. PTA.
I think Social Club. I think it was a social club. The SMI Social Club.
Yeah.
My mother got to be president of that for a couple of years, quite accidentally. Somebody said, "Would you be willing to be vice president?" What does the vice president have to do? Absolutely nothing. Vice president does nothing. Oh, well, okay, all right. I'm up for that. Well, okay. they're about a month into the school year, and I don't remember who the president was, but the president had a huff with the pastor or something and quit and up and quit.
That's who the new president is.
And my mother got the job for 2 years.
Yeah, succeeded to the presidency.
Yeah. Anyway, Doc Cortez took care of my father when he was saying. My father's last illness was about 5 years, and he had spent like 2 months in the hospital after his last surgery down at Albany Med, 2 months straight. They finally let him go home, and Dr. Cortez came down to the house to check up on him, and because he had to have blood tests and all that. And Dr. Cortez has got his glasses on, and he's looking over the blood test results. When he takes his glasses off and looks at my father, he says, "Francis, are you yellow?" according to this, your liver is failing. Yeah, right. Hepatitis. He came down with hepatitis from a blood transfusion.
Really?
Yeah, before they had a test for it.
Oh.
He needed emergency blood, and they took what was available. He had an extremely rare blood type. It was a B negative with 3 antigens in it or something that made it, 1 in 20,000 people would have a matching blood type.
Wow.
They actually had to give him the universal donor blood instead of his own B negative at one point. So, needless to say, somebody who was selling his blood for a few bucks
had hepatitis.
Donated it to my father. So then he's back in the hospital for another month. Yeah, it's awful. But Doc Cortez came right to the house. Good guy.
Yeah, we had Dr. Casano, and I can remember him coming to the house.
They shared office space.
Yep, came to the house. I remember I had to get a shot for something. I had something. He came up to the house, and Father held me down and he gave me the shot.
Open his bag and take an envelope out and shake out a couple pills. Yeah, take 2 of these.
Yeah.
Carry the bag.
Yeah. Oh, a doctor.
When we lived down in Westmere, we had
He says, "When are you going to move downstairs?" He lived upstairs.
Well, did he live down the street from you? Or
around the corner. Well, we didn't live there when he was practicing.
Oh.
Well,
when do doctors get good when so they can stop this practicing stuff?
Yeah.
I always worry about that.
Well, lawyers practice too.
Oh.
They're never done.
They're never done. They're always practicing together.
Well,
scary thought.
Anyway. Oh gosh.
My granddaughter became a doctor.
Oh.
A week or so ago. Yeah.
Doctor of
physical therapy.
Woohoo!
She had to get a doctorate to be a physical therapist in New York.
Well.
Oh.
Wow.
Sounds like a.
And is she gainfully employed and supporting you?
Yes, she just took a job in not East Queen, no, Great Barrington, I think.
Oh, that's a nice place.
In that area.
Yeah, that's a nice place.
She's going to live in Albany and commute the half hour to work.
She'd be better off living in Great Barrington and commuting to Albany.
Yeah.
Because Great Barrington's a lovely little town.
Yeah, I'm sure the taxes would be a little bit lower up there too.
She wanted to
maybe
be closer to home, I think, so that.
Well.
You don't call it Taxachusetts for nothing, but it is a little bit lower. Yeah. Bobby was there for a few weeks. No, maybe not that long.
He was there.
He was doing a show there. It was a great show. He was just they really trusted him. He was just out of college, and he was like the advance man for this group of Chinese musicians. They played homemade instruments made out of gourds and stuff like that, and they were from the mountain region of Yunnan, China, where a lot of our guys were during the war. And it was fascinating. It was really good. It was a terrific show, and nobody spoke English, but they loved Bob. They just they made hand gestures to let us know. And one guy we gave them a ride. We had the van with us, so we gave about 10 of them a ride in our 7-seater back to their hotel after the show in Great Barrington, and they're so thrilled for the hospitality. You know,
Yeah.
Guy insisted that I take a carton of Chinese cigarettes. I think I still got them somewhere.
Uh-oh. Probably no tax stamp on those.
Well, no, there were no, and of course then I took them across state lines to New York.
Oh.
But I did not.
But the statute of limitations have
Well, they did not
run out.
consume them, so I don't think it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
guess.
you didn't sell them.
I didn't sell them. No,
I see
not yet anyway.
in the newspaper today that some guy in theater owner in Kentucky refuses to show the Butler,
Yeah.
the movie, because Jane Fonda's in it.
Well, I don't blame him.
I don't either.
It's his movie theater. He didn't have to show anything.
Yeah.
And to have her play
Yeah, Regan.
Reagan, holy cow.
My wife says, I heard that's a good movie. I said, well, you're not going to go see it.
Wow.
She said, what?
Yeah. It's making a lot of money because Oprah's in it. You know.
Yeah, right,
jeepers.
right.
That's another reason not to go see
That's
it.
another reason not to go see it. Yeah. Well, Spokane, Washington was a place where I thought of settling at one time, and it was strictly for health reasons. I operate very badly under low pressure systems. You know, when a storm's coming through,
Yeah.
knocks me right out, and I'm worthless. So one day I'm going through my almanac, and I'm looking for places around the country where the climate is essentially similar to ours with the seasons and all that, and but has more high pressure days than we have here in the Mohawk Valley.
Uh-huh.
Spokane, Washington came out number one of all the places I was looking.
Yeah.
And we were out there last year. We flew in and out of Spokane when we went to Jamie's Ironman in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is maybe an hour's drive from Spokane, less. And there was nothing I saw about it that I didn't like, And I said, well, if we weren't all tied down here with family and everything,
Yeah.
it was just us. That says Spokane would be an interesting place.
You didn't mention anything about the show, though, tying you down.
But then I pick up the paper or check the internet and see that see this 89-year-old veteran of Okinawa, a guy who got shot up on Okinawa, got beaten to death by a couple of teenagers looking to gang initiation or something. And you say, what the hell is going on in this country?
Well, the one in Oklahoma, they say, was
Same
gang
thing.
initiation.
Same thing. It was gang initiation, and we have that. Believe it or not, right here in Amsterdam. I had a case. It's exactly like that. You want to get in the gang? Here's what you do. You see that total stranger over there? Go beat the crap out of him. And if he ends up dead, he ends up dead. Beat him up and rob him.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's part of the gang initiation, to show
Yep.
that you've got what it takes.
Is that what it takes?
Yep. And a lot of the assaults and robberies in Albany are the same thing.
Yeah.
It just...
I don't think it's much different in any city. You've got
It didn't used to be that way here.
No, it didn't. But it's getting worse and worse.
And of course, you've got the President of the United States stirring up the racial angle, and
Every time
these kids in Oklahoma, were bragging they were going to knock off. Well, I forget what the exact phrase they used, but it referred to white people in a derogatory way. It wasn't crackers; it was something else.
and they were going to do another one.
Oh yeah. Well, apparently he was bragging that he'd already done 4 or 5, and it's probably true. They just didn't catch him. Aye.
That...
Yeah, there was a big article in the paper today about it's not as diverse as they would like it to be with the racial thing. That's what he said. I said, I don't know. I said, every TV show now has 1 or 2 blacks on it. Every
8 or 9 homosexuals.
Yeah, and every news show has one.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting into the mainstream. So I don't know where they're getting all this baloney that they're still.
Well, there are people who will want you to believe that it's still 1954, you know, or 1924, really, you know. And it just ain't so. People who think that way haven't noticed a thing in their lifetimes.
Yeah, well, I think they're trying to incite something also by stating these statistics that aren't true, that aren't necessary.
They're selective statistics.
Look, when Gavin and I were growing up, and you were already gainfully employed and raising a family. Black people in this country, including the state of New York and the city of Amsterdam, could not get a hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. Could not. They had separate guides for places that would accept them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, places they could eat, places and that, you know, is just plain outrageous. But anybody who thinks that nothing has happened since 1964, when the Civil Rights Law passed, is just blind.
Or racist.
Interracial marriage was virtually unheard of when we were kids, and it's commonplace.
It's commonplace on TV, on every TV show.
Well, it's not on just TV. In real life, I'm talking.
Well, yeah, but it would be unheard of on a TV show to see a black and a white together.
Well, that's true. Yeah, remember Harry Belafonte kissed Petula Clark on sometime in the '60s, and it was
he got blackballed for a while. Yeah. But now, when that was happening, it was a fact. Today, it's fiction.
Yes.
And people
exactly.
try to portray it as fact, and it's not. And you know, that's one of the reasons, you know, Bill Cosby is on the outs with a lot of the groups, because he's just telling them, get over it. Do what you're supposed to. You want to be successful. There are some rules you need to follow and some guidelines you need to have if you want to be successful. And if you choose not to do that, there are some results. Okay? And those are things that are upon you. You make those choices, and then you can't complain once you've made those choices. You know, they're talking again about, you know, creating programs and giving money and subsidies and stuff. All you have to do is look around your community and recognize the educational facilities. That is your ticket out. That is the key.
Right.
If you come out of there with the skills that are being offered to you, there's nothing you can't do. But if you choose not to do that, there are some long-term effects. One of which, you've put yourself behind the eight ball.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
You've got yourself in a hole, and people don't want to recognize that. They want to say, yeah, but, and with that, and it's not the butt they're holding out their hand. You know, they want a hand out rather than a hand up. You put your hand out, we're glad to help you up, but I'm not going to
fill it.
I'm not going to fill it for it. That's a choice, you know, and there's lots of people in this country who've made those good choices. There's lots of people who've come as immigrants, first generation and second generation, who have taken advantage of what is here and become very successful. And actually, they're more successful than some people who've been here for generations, because they bring a sweat equity
Absolutely.
to their life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and you know, when we hear from the state education department, sometimes I cringe when I hear it say, well, you need to create. Well, no, we really don't need to be creating. We have already created, and we are doing.
It's there.
But it's there. They need, you know, they mean everybody, not a particular ethnic group.
How many trillions of dollars have we spent since the Great Society programs of 65 and 66?
I don't know if we could count
How
that
many
much.
trillions of dollars have we spent to even things out? But when it gets to the point where you've removed any incentive to do better,
there was just an article I read the other day. It might have been in the Post, and they were talking about that very thing, that the difference between what we hand out to what you can get if you're minimal
Right.
is so
Well, as a matter of fact,
minuscule.
you're-
It's
right.
not worth
It's not worth working.
it's not worth working.
That's right.
You know, because and I'm not saying that the people who are working at that level aren't doing right. They are doing the right thing.
It's hard to strike a balance here because nobody wants to see people starving. Nobody wants to see people denied access to the emergency room because they're too poor. Nobody wants to see that. But when you remove any incentive for them to help themselves, then
They don't need to help themselves.
Then they're not going to, and then you start the downward spiral, and then
Again.
and then the working poor are hurt hardest of all because they end up working for nothing essentially.
And all the people receive for not working.
I saw in the paper that United Parcel Service is going to stop funding health insurance for
Yeah.
spouses
Well,
because
it's
of,
inevitable.
Obamacare?
because of Obamacare.
You can't. How many times have I said that? You cannot repeal the laws of supply and demand. Businesses are not bottomless pits of money to be contributing to other causes. They have to have a profit line, and if you take the profit, if you're forcing them to increase their expenses in one direction, it's going to disappear in another direction. It's as simple as that, because they cannot spend more than a certain amount of money, or they're not going to be able
profitable.
to stay in business.
They can't lose money.
The capital will move somewhere else
They have
to a different kind of company.
They have to maintain a percentage of profit. When I worked for Radio
And it's not up to us to determine what that is. It's up to the invisible hand to determine that.
when I worked for Radio Shack, if we didn't maintain an 11% profit, they wanted to close the store. He said he could get better return in the bank
Right.
than to fund the store and not make
Right.
make 11%.
Right.
And if you didn't make 11%, you got a phone call. Every month you got a phone call, and you had to reduce your expenses. And
Or find a way to sell more.
Yeah, many times I worked alone in the store for a couple months because my profit wasn't there and I couldn't afford to hire anybody. 11%.
Oh.
I wish I had kept this source, but it was an incredible statistic, and I think the statistic related to the percentage that businesses on average spent for labor. Okay? In other words, whatever their overhead was, let's just say arbitrarily, 50% was for labor expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Salary, benefits, whatever, right? The incredible thing about this chart was that statistic remained the same whether there was a depression going on, whether there was high prosperity going on, whether there was high taxes or low taxes. The percentage spent on labor was exactly the same, and no matter what was going to happen,
That's a constant.
that was a constant.
That's what it took.
And it happens one way or another. You either add people when you're making more money, or you subtract
That's right.
people when you're not, or
But-
you cut their benefits or cut their wages. It all comes out the same. So all the strike, whether it was union or non-union, it didn't matter. All the strikes, all the money you're paying to your union, in the end, it was all exactly the same.
Did you see that green monster on me?
No,
You
no.
didn't see it, okay.
What's that?
There was a green worm on.
Yeah.
Oh. Did you get out of the bottle to kill a bottle?
I looked in here, but
Oh.
Well,
But that's the cost of doing business. Okay, you want to have a business and produce something those are the
And you
The
are only going to sell your product or service for what people are willing to pay. It doesn't matter how much it costs you to make it. It doesn't matter.
No.
You're only going to sell it for what people are willing to pay for it. And so when they say, well, we'll raise the taxes on business and they'll just pass it off to the consumer. Well, no, they don't pass it off to the consumer. The consumer is only going to pay what they feel it is worth to them for that product or service.
To prove that point, last week I built a set of stairs in my deck.
This is your 20-year project?
This is my 20-year project. This is the end of it.
Yeah.
This is the end of it.
Now you can get to the project.
Well, I think I got another week or so. I got to paint the stairs. I went to the store. I needed 3-inch screws to put the.
Yeah.
I went to the store. A box of screws. If I put them in my hand, it'd be about like this.
Okay.
$8.95.
And were you willing to pay that?
No.
For that? Oh.
I wouldn't buy them.
Ah.
I wouldn't buy them. I went home.
Scavenged.
I scrounged around. I found some 2.5s that I had. I said, these are going to have to do it. I said, I'm not paying $8 for a handful. It was a pound. It was a pound of screws in a box for $8.95. I said, I'm not going to do this. And I went home. My wife said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'll glue them if I have to.
See, and
Staple them.
the wild card in all this economics is the pressure put on by taxes and requirements and regulations that have absolutely nothing to do with what you are producing. It's something imposed, and that sucks out.
Right.
Now, I fish. There's an article in the Recorder this morning. Every year they have this big bass tournament up on Sacadoga.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the last year for it.
Yeah.
Because the state of New York, the Department of Environmental Conservation, has nickel-dimed them so much they said, it's not worth coming here. Okay? It's not worth making us jump through these hoops. We'll go someplace else. We'll take the hundred thousands of dollars that we spend in the local economy during this, and we'll go someplace else. We don't need to do this. And
even the fishermen had
the fishermen.
Well, it was crazy.
Yeah, they had docking fees and they got permit fees.
Because they were doing it off of Northampton, and they charge them everybody got charged the admission to the park, day use fee, plus the boat launch fee. And every time they had a meeting there, they charged everybody the day use fee to get into it. It was costing them what, $11 or whatever it was.
Whatever. You know, they're cutting their nose off to spite their face estate. They don't see this. And now
plus the guy applied for the permit for this thing in November and didn't get it until 6 weeks ago.
That's right. Now I was at work and I try real hard, you know, to watch what our guys like. Our guys like watching the news and Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Okay, as long as that's on all day long, guys are happy. They love it. Well, the news was on yesterday, and they showed this guy talking about college. The guy with the ear, Obama, he was talking, and I'm thinking, all right, now how many more departments are you going to create to oversee all these new costs that are going to get passed on to colleges for reporting purpose to determine how successful they are and whether or not they're gouging their students. You know, I'm thinking
somebody in Washington is going to be making that determination.
Absolutely. You know,
and you can bet you the conservative colleges are going to come out really bad in that, aren't they?
You know, it was just
the 2 or 3 of
awful.
them there are.
It was just awful. The pandering he does to, you know, every segment of every group of every thought in this country, you know, by doing all things for everybody, I'm going to make everybody happy. You're going to make nobody happy.
Is he ever in Washington?
Well, let's hope not. Yeah.
I mean,
Did you see Cuomo would not appear with them?
Absolutely.
And here's, you know, you hate to say the President of the United States is a liar, but he's one of the worst liars that's ever held the office, and we've had a few.
I saw that on one of the YouTube.
The audacity the audacity of him now taking credit for the increased gas production in the United States when every single foot-pound of, I don't know if that's how you measure, but every single pound of natural gas that has come out from this fracking process has been on private lands, in spite of Obama having banned them from federal lands, and now he's taking credit for it. Oh, well, we got holy mackerel!
That's something that the mayor's going to do next Wednesday. She's going to take credit for Riverlink Park.
Did you get one of those invitations in your email?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I saw it, and
yes, I did.
I had to call one of my friends.
I emailed it to you when I saw that. Oh, we got it from the school board.
I got it. I got it directly from the recreation.
I read it on the air the other day. So everybody's invited.
This is absolutely. First of all, everybody on the guest speaker list is a prominent Democrat.
Yeah.
Period. It is like she's dedicating the James D. Marks Riverlink Park for the first time. It's to acknowledge what wonderful things we've done here. Excuse me, there is not a thing down there that she did, other than to take over the costs of it when the foundation failed.
Well, she was in charge of it when the.
Well, we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear about that.
You don't
she doesn't want to talk about that.
Oh, no, of course not.
She wasn't there.
She wasn't there.
No, never happened. But the Riverlink Park opened during the Duchesne administration. Everything that's down there came during the Duchesne administration. It wasn't even the Emanuel administration. We're talking 12 years ago, and all of a sudden she's unveiling it like this is the biggest new thing.
Did the council rename the park the James D?
Yes, you were on the council.
That's what I thought, but nobody mentions that name.
Well, I do.
Now, on my way here, I was listening to WCSS 1490 on your dial,
yeah.
And Rick Morrison was talking through the news, and he said, "Dumpster diver Ann Thane." I said, "Whoa!" He called her a dumpster diver.
Yeah, he made a couple comments about her with the mural, and he says they're gonna paint the mural on somebody's side or something.
What? Yeah, here's what we ought to do. We ought to do like they did with the Indian rocks down there.
Yeah.
All we need to do is pay somebody $150,000 to recreate the mural.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good idea.
We'll recreate it down at the Riverlink Park, or alongside the railroad station, or I'm sorry, the Intermodal Transportation Center.
You know that's good thinking.
Yeah.
Really gets
was it
$100
grand we paid for the rocks, or was it more than that? 150?
I think 150 grand.
Yeah.
Well, but we didn't have to pay for that. It was a grant.
Yeah.
I don't know where the money comes from these grants, but it comes from us, doesn't it?
But fortunately, it's bringing hundreds of thousands of tourists a year.
Oh, you got to come see that.
In there. But can you imagine this thing next? What is it? Wednesday or Thursday?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Be
right after your show.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to run.
You can lead the march.
You could
right over there.
You could do a live broadcast from there.
Yeah, but it's after my show.
So, but you do an extended version. They don't mind if you run a little bit long down there.
I'm sure Joe would love that.
Yeah.
We could do a show from there.
Oh,
You doing anything Wednesday? 11 o'clock?
You might have to get permission though.
Why? From whom? It's a public park. I can go down there with my camera anytime I want.
You're doing something that's a commercial.
It's not commercial.
Venture?
Is this a commercial venture? Are we making money on this show?
Not that much, anyways.
Well, okay, we do run ads on YouTube, but let me tell you, in all the years we've been doing this, we still haven't made enough click-throughs to
make new business cards.
I get $1.50 worth of coffee every time we sit down. So that's,
But yeah, we could do that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Oh wait, you know what? I bet we need a permit.
That's what I said.
I bet we need a permit.
And it'll take a
permit to have a camera?
Well, yeah, we would. Because there'd be an investigation, because we are of the other persuasion. I bet you.
You know what I should do? I got that great big monster of a camera that it looks like.
I got an old Channel 6 camera. Old black and white Channel 6
Do ya?
camera in my attic. Yeah.
Go down there. I got
Yeah.
I got an ESPN hat. Yeah, and I'll put a 9 or a number on the side of the camera, and we'll go down there and walk around and see what happens.
My 9. Yeah.
She'll love it.
Create a little interest in the community.
That camera's heavier than hell, though.
Well, mine isn't. The one I have isn't portable. I did have a.
We got to push around on a dolly.
Well,
Mine is portable.
I think it probably had a wheeled dolly to begin with. Yeah.
I tried
And
to buy a new battery.
it doesn't have a standard tripod thing. It's a much thicker and heavier
Yeah.
connection. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah. We used it in the early days of National Perspectives. Actually, we never used it. We were going to do National Perspectives podcast back then, but we ended up doing it. We did radio shows. Syndicated radio shows, so we would send out tapes every month around the country.
oh wow.
Oh yeah, we were heard. We were actually heard in the Soviet Union. We were broadcasting from one of those islands in Alaska that could be heard in the Soviet Union. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're broadcasting to the former.
Now
Soviet, former
but this
Soviet
was before
Union.
the internet. Now,
Yeah?
yes, absolutely. Now we're broadcasting to the world.
Wow.
Sun is out on us, I see.
Yes, it is.
So we're broadcasting from the outdoor studio here at Casabab.
Yeah. It's nice.
Chip the Wonder Dog is sitting
What?
around the pool someplace. I don't know.
He was right outside the gate there, but he moved.
Yeah.
Have you gone swimming in the pool this year?
No.
No.
You haven't even
I gave
shocked
up on it.
have you?
Well, I shocked it, and then it didn't take. It wasn't enough. I put in 20 gallons of. I put in 10 gallons one day and 10 gallons another couple
got
days later. Almost got it clear, and then it just
Flipped again, huh?
it slipped, and then it got cold, and I said, well, that's it. You know, there's only about 5 weeks left in the summer. Forget it. Because with all the rain and we were away for a while, I just never got it open at all until mid-July. But no, I'll shock it again and then cover it up. Oh well.
Has he recovered from the Iron Man?
Yeah, James. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he back in the States?
Nope. He's working his way north in Norway. He spent went to Oslo for a while, then over more to the coast area at Bergen.
What's he doing in
Norway.
What's
he doing right now?
No,
He's just touring right now.
Oh, he's not working over there.
No.
I thought he was.
When he was in Iceland several years ago, he took 30 days to bike around Iceland, around the whole island.
Mm-hmm.
There's a road there's actually a
road that goes all the way.
Goes all the way around, and he blew his knee out about halfway and biked the rest of the way with one foot. Okay, but because it slowed him down, he was not able to take a side trip on a ferry to an island that was inside the Arctic Circle, which is one of the things he wanted to do. So now he's making up for that by heading north as far as the train will take him inside the Arctic Circle. I guess so he can say he was inside the Arctic Circle. And of course, this time of year the sun doesn't set inside the Arctic Circle. It's just amazing. Even when he was in Iceland this trip, he's FaceTiming with us at like 2 in the morning and it's bright out. You know, it only got from you get dusk and dawn following rapidly on each other. It never gets dark.
Yeah, when we took kids to Russia, we went to St. Petersburg one summer, and the kids are out at 2:30 in the morning playing frisbee out there. I mean, it doesn't get dark. It gets dusty, but it doesn't get dark. And we have I think in the States we have a misconception of the world. I mean, Britain is a long ways north of where we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it really, you know, we think, well, it's right here. No, it's up here.
Right.
And then you get over in Northern Europe, it's way up here.
Yeah.
You know, and we don't realize that because I mean, Canada takes up most of the northern part.
Well,
we
of course,
forget that.
you know, the British Isles have the Gulf Stream warming them up, so the climate is substantially warmer than it is here. But it's all because of the Gulf Stream. I mean, amazing. I never forget the first time we were in the city of Galway in Ireland and saw palm trees. I almost fell over. I mean, and we're not talking like they're inside an arboretum. We're talking about outdoors on the street. Yeah.
Between the warm weather and all the rain they get there, lots of things grow.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. But I think we as Americans have a very distorted view of the world and where we are in the world.
Anyway, Jim's telling us our first hour is up, so I guess we'll call it quits and we'll be back shortly. Meanwhile, I'm Bob Going with Jim Nicosia and Gavin Murdoch, and we'll be back again shortly with more of the show with no name.